Everybody, Santos Bonacci, legend, Mr.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I've met a few. Yeah, thanks, Dragon. I've met a few of you already, probably about half, and yeah, I feel like I'm with family. It's a really good feeling. Yeah, it's a very good feeling in this time and age that we live in to connect with our tribe. We're trying to start a community in Puerto Morelos, up north, about 2 hours. And, well, we're not trying, we are doing it. You know, we've got a virtual academy up with 25 instructors teaching syncretism and tropical astrology, mainly, as the staple. Because today I'm going to prove to you that tropical astrology is the most perfect system of astrology that exists. It is infallible, it is perfect, and 100% accurate. And you're going to learn how to show all people that try to rubbish tropical astrology. Oh, it's not synced up with the stars. The sun's in Taurus, it's not in Gemini. What are you talking about? You will understand how to explain why it is in Gemini, tropically, and not sidereally. I'm not rubbishing sidereal. I never have. They're both valid, but
can you speak a little louder? This music is really distracting.
Oh boy. That wasn't been there the past few minutes.
You want to come in a bit?
Yeah.
Come on,
We're
guys.
gonna come in a little
Let's
bit.
get all warm and cozy.
Yeah.
Not that it isn't warm enough. Oh, that's better. Oh, that's way better. Come on. Oh, yeah.
Feels better to me.
That is
I'm
back.
a tourist.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. Good to see you. You got a post.
Sorry.
Come on, it's available.
So, two of the things I'm going to be talking about is the geocentric center of the universe, our universe, which is just a solar system. There are many in existence. But for us, and for all intents and purposes, we live in a geocentric system. The Earth is the center. So that's one of the things I'm going to cover in the first hour, and then show you how to prove forevermore the most reliable system of astrology that exists and why it is. It's very important. It's so important because astrology is nothing other than the science of electromagnetism. The circle is just a wave, the circle of the chart of astrology, and every wave has a function. And every wave, mostly we divide the wave in two, positive and negative. Well, this is very, very, very limited, okay? Like positive on your battery terminal and negative over here, hot water, cold water. There are 12 conditions along every wave. The universe mentally only understands 12. That's the mental diapason of the universe. It's 12. The dodecahedron is the fifth element, the fifth polyhedron. Okay, so we know Earth is a tetrahedron. Fire is a tetrahedron, starting with fire here actually, because this is ether. Dodecahedron, 12. There are only 5 polyhedra, right? You know the Platonic solids?
Yeah.
Or the Pythagorean solids?
Yeah.
It's very important we know these basic things about sacred geometry, because these are the 5 building blocks of the universe. Everything is made with all these things we wear, crosses and everything, all comes from the polyhedra. So, yeah, there's your Jewish Kabbalistic tree. There's Ketha, there's Malkuth. There's fire, air, water, and earth. Earth, ether, eartha. They're the two sisters. They say whatever happens here in Krishna's Vrindavan is exactly what's happening in the 3D world down here in Ketha. Malkuth, Ketha. Ketha is ether, Malkuth is earth. Simple. You just understand the language of all the universe. It's atomic. The original language is atomic. Okay, I've been teaching it for about 8 years now, since 2014. All is atum, in all is atum presentations. And once you get to know that language, you said, you don't have to think, oh, is it Hebrew, is it Tamil, is it Prakrit, Sanskrit, Greek, Egyptian? No, they all can trace their roots to the original, but they're not the original. The original is atomic. Everything is atomic, all is atom. There are only atoms. It's just that we have the wrong model of atoms. We think it's a little diffusion model. Walter Russell destroyed that in his book, Atomic suicide 60 years ago.
Who did?
Walter Russell.
Walter Russell, Wrestlemania scientist.
The great Walter Russell. He destroyed it, wrote a whole book. I haven't read that book, I've read 3 of his other great works, and they set me on the right track. Everything's simple. It's all atoms. And atoms are nothing other than white energy splitting, red shift, blue shift. That's all it is. That's what an atom is. And you're an atom, you have an anatomy. And guess what? That's a blue chakra, and the bottom one's a red chakra of your torso. Well, that sounds like Taurus field. Goes in your fontanelle, goes out your perineum. Red shift right turning, blue shift left turning. It's just going blue, red, and the center is in your heart. And that's it, you're an atom. The sun is an atom, the solar system's an atom. Everything is atomic. Language is atomic. So we're going to learn what is obvious. We should all know how our solar system works because there's only one model. There's only one form. The universe only knows how to make one form. It's an electromagnetic universe. And the astrological wheel teaches you that because the astrological wheel, there's the equator, there's the Tropic of Cancer, there's the Tropic of Capricorn. This is a map, right? The Americas are up here, South America's down here. And what happens is on the 21st of March at the equinox, the sun goes up to Cancer, 21st of June, solstice. Continues on to September 23rd, equinox. December 21st, we just came from there. Now we're climbing up, we're in Aquarius here, we're going to hit Pisces, and then we're going to go back to here. So what we do is we make a circular graph rather than a linear graph. It's good to see things linear, but there's no such thing. Only this mind is linear. This masculine, intellectual. This is the intelligent mind, feminine. This is intellectual. And this is linear, this is non-linear. This is always with God, this is always with the world. This is left, sinister in Latin for left. Sinister gives you sin. The sinners are the left-hand pathers who are walking from their left brain. Oh, they're clever. They make doctors and engineers and everything like that. But when it comes to understanding their divinity, they're godless. How did they get to be like that? How did they get disconnected from the source? Well, because they're sinning. See, we're on the right-hand path, going up. Baphomet is always pointing up like this to the sun, the portal to everlasting life. The sun's just a portal. It's not a globe, flying 93 million miles away. It's only about maybe 1,000 miles high. It's local. It's inside our local Taurus field solar system. The Earth is the plane that intersects it. I hope I'm not going too fast because this subject is just so familiar to me. There is only one model, guys. You see that Taurus field? Blue shift, red shift. Red shift down in hell. There's the green heart chakra. That's green. Yellow, orange, red. Hell. Blue, indigo, violet. Blue shift. Heaven. The heavens are blue. Down below is red hell. That's just the way Taurus fields are. Your body's like that. If you could see the energy going straight down your spinal column, you'll see blue shift at top, like a rainbow, red on one end, blue on the other. Red police siren, blue police siren. Red pill, blue pill. Red blood, blue blood. Republicans are red, Democrats are blue. Neither of them gives a shit about you. Rose is red, violet's blue. Red for little girls, blue for little boys. Red hot tap, blue cold tap. Red positive battery terminal, blue negative battery terminal. It's a red shift, blue shift world. And those colours are electrical. That's the electrical world, which is material and physical. The spiritual world of white light and black light is magnetism. We all come from our mother, magnetism. And we manifest here with this red shift, blue shift torso. We're an atom. It matters not how far down you go in the microcosm, you'll bump into the smallest little wave particle or wave function and it will be an atom. You go up to a galaxy and it will be an atom. These are galaxies, supposed galaxies. Let's have a look at some of these amazing things. Look at that. Can you see the jets coming out of the center of that torus field? Maybe I should expand that. I assumed we'd have a whiteboard. I normally work with a whiteboard, but it's cool. You know, I make do with what I've got when I do presentations. But yeah, normally if that had a projector, look at that. See that jet? See the center there? That's what we see when we look at the sun. It's just a portal. It's a wormhole. Our Holy Father who art in heaven, because we have to go through that to get out of here one day, to go back to our magnetic source. Because we got stuck here enjoying this redshift, blueshift world. And then at times we get so down and sick and what have you, we want to go back and we don't know how to. We're stuck with these heavy bodies. We need to eat, drink, sleep, go to the bathroom, work, and all of these conditions that all of a sudden are upon us. Sometimes we don't have a job, sometimes we don't have food, we can't have a shower sometimes. Not everything goes right in this world, does it? Because you're limited, you're conditioned. This is a condition. So no matter what you go, there's the eye, the bull's eye. You see, that central pillar inside the torus field is called the hyperbola. And bol is the key word. It's the ball or bull's eye, the eye of the bull, the eye of the storm. And that eye is God's eye. And from that eye proceeds everything. It comes from counter space. So when you go through the sun, Baphomet's pointing down to the moon because the moon is the portal to incarnation. We all came through the portal of the moon. Every single one of us. There's no other way. The moon is our mother, the ovaries of the solar system. And so we have to go through the sun. That's why Jesus said, no one goes to the Father except through me. It's very important to read some sacred scriptures, whether it's Bhagavad Gita, Zendavesta, or the Bible. My favourite is the Bible. It always will be. I'm very biblical because I understand it. You know, there was no literal Jesus walking on the earth. No, it's literary. If we're waiting for a literal Jesus to return, we'll be waiting forever. The return of Christ is a return in you. You are Christ. You have to return to remember that. That's all. But look at that. You see, that's an Earth. That's an Earth system. That's the only part, the plane of inertia of every atom or every torus field is the only place where life can exist. In a system, in a solar system. There's the man, the human, the woman. There's a golden egg. There's one way they illustrate it, the ancients. I don't know whether you can all see that. See that beautiful golden egg? It's very elaborate. But this is what the ancients thought we lived in. And it is. I call it an apple, a golden apple. The big apple. We live inside of an apple. You're an apple. You have a core, corazon, apple core. Okay? It's because you're an apple. You have an apple torus field around you. In French, apple is pomme, man is homme. Just take away the P. In Spanish, apple is manzana, man. There are many other ways to go back to the root of apple. That's why Eve and Adam ate the apple. First thing they did, right? Because eating the apple means coming into your apple manifestation. These are the apples of Apollo. There's an apple, there's an apple, there's an apple, there's an apple. We're all apples. Golden apples. Or golden eggs. You can call it anything. This God form has many names. This is Jupiter, Zeus, this is Saturn. See the hourglass in the middle? That's Chronos. That's time space. Time is in the center, space is in the outside. Around. This is the sword and the chalice, the Holy Grail. Excalibur and the Holy Grail. Excalibur is always the phallic center, masculine, and the Taurus is the uterus, feminine. Time, hourglass, hyperbola. Space, Taurus field. Ouroboros eating its tail in the center. The serpent, the number 8, see? Life, death, life, death, life, death. The number 8, eternal number. And that's all we're doing. Everything's made up of little circuits called waves, electrical waves. In Spanish, víbora and vibración, vibration, same word. Víbora, serpent, vibración, vibration. Vibra is a serpent. In Italian, my parents' language, it's it's víbora. Víbora. No, what am I doing? That's Spanish. Hang on. It's a V. You just get it.
Ceviche.
Yeah, that's vibration. Anyway, doesn't matter. There's enough in one language. Vibra. See the apples? See the little tree there? The tree? It's all the same. There's only one form. It's electromagnetic. Because electromagnetism is conscious energy. It comes out of the source, out of counter space, and it comes into space. It creates space. Just like this photo on my screen here, it's not in the computer. You remember seeing Zoolander trying to find the file? He broke the computer because he's going, oh, we need that file. Well, there's no photos in here, although there's 600,000 photos, there are actually no photos. So how did they get in there? And how do they get on my screen? That's what people don't know about themselves. How did we get here? Where did we come from? Well, it's easy. We're an electrical body made up of transverse waves, which are fed by longitudinal radiation waves called magnetism. Magnetism is 10 billion times more powerful than electricity. That's why the god El always gets a bad rap. The demiurge. Oh, he's evil. Yeah, well he is, but he's also good. Red shift, blue shift. Good and evil. It can't just be evil. There's nothing that is just only evil. You know how to say pure evil doesn't exist. Because it's like pure light. I mean, those are dim. If we turn the dimmer switch up and get more light, we say that's light and this is dark. Or this is dim. But darkness is just a degree of light. It's just turned down, so you can't see it. But dogs can. Bats can. So it's still light. Because light is electromagnetic and everything is. There is nothing to speak of, there's no thing you can talk about at the coffee table with your friends other than electromagnetism. That's all that exists. Electromagnetism. Electricity is inferior, magnetism is superior. Electricity is the demiurge, magnetism is the source. Source, force. Cause, effect. God, God's son. There's many ways to describe it, but whichever book you read, it'll always come to that. So, geocentrism, now, if I had a projector, I would love to have shown you some websites on astrology. If you go to free astrological sites like AstroDynst or AstroTheme, those ones are usually pretty good. They're very user-friendly, so I like to use those. Now, if you notice one thing, if you're put hands up the astrologers here. Really good, well-versed astrologers, okay? Because this is good. Tropical or sidereal?
Tropical.
Good, okay. Sidereal is the same, it's still geocentric.
Light is the sound in ether.
Sorry?
Light is the sound in ether.
It is. Light and sound. Remember, there's only atoms and there's only electromagnetism. So if you're going to be talking about sound, what are you going to be talking about? Electromagnetism. If you're going to be talking about trees and leaves and sky and rain and water and people and food, what are you talking about? Electromagnetism. Because everything's made up of those waves. You know? Why don't I trust atoms? Because they go around making things up, making everything up. No. Well, we can't but trust atoms. Everything's atomic. All is atomic. The Egyptians said in the Hermetica thousands of times. The end of ad nauseum, at the end of every sentence, all is atum. Atum is the all. All right already, you know. It's like Christians saying Amen, Hallelujah, Amen, Hallelujah. Ah! Give it a break. But it has to be stressed to get it through our thickness and our forgetfulness of who we are and what we are. Everything is atomic. If you've had a good LSD trip or DMT, you'll know that. You'll see the waves. Everything just goes, wow, it's waving. Oh, look at that colour. Wow. Ayahuasca will do it. Because those are portals to other dimensions, and they will show you the true nature of the world. It's okay to do entheogens. That's why the priests used to give the people at church a little bit of wafer. That was a magic mushroom in ancient times. Now it's a bit of stale bread, hasn't got any leaven in it. Thanks. And does nothing. And he's supposed to be there waiting for you to get out of your body and to help you have communion with God. You're going to the communion, right? What's the wafer doing there? Nothing? Exactly. It used to be a mushroom, Amanita muscaria. And then once you came out of your body, then he would instruct you. He would navigate for you and help you so you wouldn't get lost and get scared. He would calm you down and he would teach you how to understand God, the transcendental. So, what happens when you go into AstroDynst? What's the setting on for the system that it's using? Geocentric. Oh, that's interesting. What about the little button next door which says heliocentric, sidereal, or whatever, all these other different draconic and all this other stuff? Why is it always default geocentric? Because it is. Because the sun and the moon and the wandering stars we call planets are clockwise going around the center of the Earth, the North Pole, every 24 hours. It's 24-hour clock. Yearly, they are going against that current. The sun is going this way to make a year. It takes 365 days to get around. And the moon 27 days. But daily, they are going around clockwise. So when we look at an astrological chart, you will understand exactly what's going on. With an astrological chart, remember this is the Tropic of Capricorn, this is a wheel like this, and you always have something like this. MC, DC, IC, and AC. AC, DC. ADIM gives you Adam, and Ma, Adim, is how you say Mars in Hebrew. Mars is red, Adam means red in Hebrew, redshift. Blue means blue shift, Eve means blue shift, Chava. It's right there in your face. First man's red, first woman's blue. You got red veins and blue red arteries and blue veins. That's Zosimos of the 3rd century, a Neoplatonic astrologer, said, Adam, we are all children of Adam, because we're all children of this electromagnetic wheel. And he said, the ascendant in astrology, the east where the sun rises, ascends. There you go, that's the morning, the first 2 hours of the morning, 12th house. This is from 8 to 10 in the morning, 11th house. This is 10 to 12, midday. But funny enough, this is the south. And this is the north down here. Many astrologers ask me, why should the north be here on the top as it always is and the south at the bottom? Can you explain to me why? It's like, well of course, it's pretty easy. I don't know how you can't get it. Since not everyone's an astrologer, you'll have to go a little bit more basic. But let's explain that, because it also proves, I'm going to show you two things that prove that to you how you can show anyone and yourself our astrology proves that we're the center and everything goes around us. Everything's going around this every 24 hours. Remember, we said this is 6 a.m., the ascendant, the east, this is the west, and this is 6 p.m. Here's 12 midday, here's 12 midnight. So we've got 10 to 12 every morning. This is the morning. Afternoon starts, 9th house, mid-afternoon, 8th house, 7th house. My sun is here. I was born at 4:19. My sun is right there. Midday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 4:19. It's a 24-hour clock. What time were you born, sister? Do you know?
We're having trouble with
All right.
that. I know.
If you.
6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m. Okay, so your sun is right here in the 6th house, isn't it? Do you know your astrology? All right, let's grab someone who knows their astrology. Erin? 1 a.m. Your sun is right about here in the 3rd house, is it not? Good. See? Because this is midday. Hang on, Dragon, I'll be with you in a minute. That's midnight, right? That's midday. Very, very easy. This here is called the line of the earth. When you stand in the northern hemisphere, let's say you're in Canada, and you want to see the sun rise and set, you want to see the whole thing. Which way do you face? North or south? Otherwise you'll miss the action. There's the sun rising and setting. If you do this, you face the North Pole, you ain't going to see anything. So that's why this is you here, standing on the line of the earth, and that never moves, by the way. This moves. The MC and the IC move. If the signs on the Tropic of Cancer are rising, like Leo, Cancer, or Gemini, the MC will go over to the right. When the Tropic of Capricorn signs are rising, the MC goes over to the left. It goes like this. Every day, 24 hours, it moves. But this line never moves because all the planets are going around clockwise every 24 hours over the Earth. The Earth is not turning around. We're going to look at that in a minute, prove that. It's very, very, very important. Keep an open mind, guys. Don't run out just because you've swallowed the Copernican lie. The Copernican lie has only been around for 480 years, and he's a Jesuit. And the Jesuits are not your friends. They're the ones who bring you pandemics, plagues, the Justinian plague, the bubonic plague, the black plague, the Spanish flu, COVID. Yeah, they like to decimate humanity when there are too many debtors, or they've got too many debts which they borrowed from the creditors, and so they have to kill a few folk to get away with their crimes. That's all they're doing. Just get rid of some stock that I need and then reset. But they didn't count on a great resist, did they? 5. This Dragon?
Yes, sir.
What time? Were you born? 21:10. So this is 1.
It's 9 o'clock.
Oh, hang on, I should have gone. So we're going here 0, 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Your sun is in the 5th house.
Yes.
Exactly. It's a 24-hour clock. All right? And you'll find that all the planets will do one revolution every day. I was going to show you this. I was going to go forward and inch the chart 1 hour, and you can watch all the planets going around the chart of astrology. Right? And if you're born here and your sun's here, like Erin has, well, she's a communicator and a networker. She brought some goods from David Wolf over for me, some ormus, some cacao. See, she's a networker. She connects people up. These are the networkers. These are the people who make a lot of money, the second house. These are the people who are all centered around themselves and are self-aware and have a purpose for themselves. These are the people that are awakened. These are people who are good in society, with friends and community. These are the public image people. Donald Trump has his son here. Big career house. These are the people who travel a lot because the sun is whoop. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this guy was born, he's going to be a traveller. See, a mother has 10 kids and they're all born in different houses. She doesn't know this. she's not aware of the electromagnetic constitution astrologically. So she wonders why Matthew, this 11-year-old Sagittarius, always wants to travel, and then the Aries sun is always selfish and self-centered, and the Libran guy is always, wanting to have a partner. The guy who's got his sun in the 7th house, and she's wondering why they're not all the same, or why they've all got different inclinations and predispositions. Well, that's because wherever the sun lands in this Russian roulette wheel of fortune and destiny will determine, what your character, your personality, and a lot of traits are internally and externally. This rules your whole life in cycles. So now, if we were living on a globe, right? So let's say you're in Ecuador, you're standing like this, all right? Aren't you? Pretty much, even though the Earth is supposed to be tilting like this. So we're over here, and how can I do this? It's so ridiculously wrong that I just don't even know how I'm going to do this. So they can't even really look south. In Ecuador you can't do it. Let's make it America, okay? So we're up here in Boston, right? And we have to look south because the tropics are here, right? There's the equator. You've got to look south to be able to see the sun rise in the east and then set in the west. But then they say, this is the north. Well, that would be over here. Because you're standing on here. Every astrologer knows this is the Earth. They call it the horizon now. Very convenient. The horizon. Well, that's the line, that's called the horizon. Yeah, well, I've read Firmicus Maternus 2,000 years ago, Marcus Manilius, Ptolemy, Vettius Valens, Claudius Ptolemy, of course, the greatest astrologer, and they call it the line of the Earth. They were more truthful. And they said that everything here is called under the Earth. Well, hang on a minute, didn't we just say that the Earth is circular inside the Taurus field, and it's the plane of inertia, planet of Eartha, plane of inertia? Look up Taurus fields and you'll learn there are 3 parts to the Taurus field. The inside hourglass shape, hyperbola, the outside called Taurus, and then the intersection right through the middle called the plane of inertia. Very important you understand this. And that's where we live. Nick?
The ICMC pole,
Yep.
it's the axis of politicians, and that's the hyperbola of the Taurus field.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. You can put it that way or you can put it that way. Yeah. By the way, this is interactive, so put your hand up if you want to make a comment. So how can this be under the Earth if it's north, and that be on top of the Earth? Because obviously we've got, if the sun rises here and sets here, this is obviously the daytime and this is the night, right? It has to be. It has to be. This is the ascendant, and the sun always rises here. When people are born at 6 o'clock in the morning, their sun is always around here somewhere. It can be in the darkness here, or it can be about here, depending what latitude they're born in. It'll vary a little bit. There's about an hour or two of variance there. But for instance, here in Mexico, I checked the other day, the sun rises at about 7:20. It's interesting. That's really late. In Australia, it was always up earlier. It's strange. But that's how our electromagnetic solar system is. It's a lot of what we see is actually an illusion. It's like a rainbow. Do you actually see a rainbow? Yes, you do. Is it there? It's not there. Like this, it's not there. There's no photos in here. A new phone, this is full of photos. But a new iPhone 11, if I go down and pick one up, which one will be heavier? This one that's full or this one that's empty? This is full. It doesn't weigh any more than that one. How can that be? Well, because those photos are just zeros and ones. And they're occupying no space at all. They're sitting in little chips, but really they don't occupy space. That's the same as you. Your counterspatial self does not weigh anything and doesn't occupy any space. Here you're spatial and you're temporal. You're born, you grow old, and you die. So that's time, you're temporal. It's a temporal, temporary body. It's not eternal, it's not infinite. It's finite and temporal. It's not eternal. But there you are eternal. When you go back, you'll know all this. You're eternal and infinite. Unconditioned, unlimited, unqualified. Here, there's all sorts of qualifications. This one's got a PhD, this one dropped out of school, this one's a doctor, this one's it's all qualifications. Over there, it's all one thing. So, this is a good analogue for understanding how we are here. We come from the nowhere into the everywhere. And, you know, that photo there came from the nowhere. That's the Yggdrasil tree of the Nordics. Look at Jesus. See the two colours coming from Jesus? You'll see this everywhere, red and blue, because that's the Son of God, electricity. Emmanuel. His name is Emmanuel. That's a hint to electricity. The sun's got a face. Yeah, because that's God. That's your Saviour. The sun is your Saviour. Early Christians were called heliognostics. That means knowers of the sun. Why did they need to know the sun, about the sun? Why would they need to know about the sun? Because they knew that was the portal through which their souls would go back to cause. You can't go back through the moon. You can't go back through any other wormhole. That's a wormhole. The sun is a wormhole. It's actually the light is coming from behind it. There's another sun. It's called the sun behind the sun. That is only a transmitter from the original sun. So it's not even really generating its own light. It's borrowing light. It's like when I get a magnifying glass and I shine it over onto the wall over there. That's what the sun is like. It's only a projection. Just like the rainbow. Oh, hang on a minute. It's there. It's not. It appears to be there because it's projected. And that's what the sun is. It's not actually there. And neither is the moon. That's why people get enchanted by the moon. What is it? You know, no one will ever know. How come it disappears for 60 hours every new moon? 2.5 days. Wait a minute. My astrology says the moon and the sun are conjunct. 0 degrees. It's a new moon. The moon should be in front of the sun. But every month, every 27 days, it vanishes from the sky for 60 hours. Where's the moon rock? It's 220,000 miles, and the sun's 93 million miles. They're the same size, and yet where does that round moon rock ball disappear to for 60 hours? That's a question no one wants to answer.
What about eclipses?
Well, there you go. That's a good question, isn't it? All of a sudden, then the moon seems to go in front of the sun. Why does this happen rarely? It should be happening every 27 days. Every single 27 days.
What?
Well,
Because they're close and opposite of each other.
but they're not opposite each other. That's the thing. They are in the same space as each other.
Yeah.
The sun is magnetic and the moon is dielectric. And when the moon goes really close in declination and right ascension, you see, the ecliptic of the sun is that. We just saw the ecliptic of the sun. From the ascendant to the descendant. This is called right ascension of meridian. The sun is always on the ecliptic. The moon can be 5 and a half degrees negative declination, or it can be up here 5 and a half degrees positive declination. So you have two coordinates for the sky. On the Earth you have latitude and longitude. Right? Longitude, latitude. And they're 15 degrees apart. In the sky we have declination, low declined, when the sun's low in winter, that's low declination. High in summer, that's high declination. This is declination, this is right ascension of meridian. Okay? So you've got Ram and declination. So the astrologer said that whenever the sun, any body, planet or whatever they call them, wandering stars, comes within 15 degrees of the sun, it becomes combust, or under the rays of the sun, hence invisible. So astrology has the answer. See, the moon, it's pretty much, it's always following the trajectory of the sun, which is called the ecliptic. But it can be lower by 5.5 degrees, that's the maximum, where K2 is, the south node, and then it goes up to the north node every 14 days. That's this, 14 days, Rahu, Ketu, Rahu, Ketu, Rahu, and that's 28 days. But we should see it nonetheless. The only time we get an eclipse is when it is 0 degrees declination and 0 degrees right ascension of meridian. Then we get an eclipse, but it's not the moon. We think it's the moon going in front of the sun. Well, why couldn't we see it over here when we're watching the eclipse, right? And all of a sudden we see a shadow. Where the hell did it come from? Because for 15 degrees you didn't see any moon for already for 30 hours.
Are you talking solar or lunar eclipse?
Solar.
Yeah. So what's your question?
Well, you're watching the eclipse, right? You don't see any moon for 30 hours, then all of a sudden at the eclipse you see the shadow of the moon going in front of the sun, or what you think is the moon.
So
It's not.
so what's the problem?
Well, it's Rahu. It's the node of the moon, or K2. It's one of the nodes.
So you're saying the moon is not there?
It's not a rock.
What is it?
It's a luminous body. It's entirely luminous. It's a dielectric portal. The sun is a magnetic portal.
What about the tides?
The tides are all controlled by the electromagnetism, which they control. The sun is an anode.
Nothing to do with the
cathode.
moon.
It has influence by the moon, yes. Of course it does. But it's not controlled by the
There's
moon.
no gravitational force coming from the moon.
No, none whatsoever. Gravity is a theory.
It's a work of two polarities.
Gravity is a theory.
Why are we all being pulled toward the center of the Earth?
Because we're denser and less buoyant than the air.
Yeah.
That's why helium can go up. Why doesn't gravity pull helium balloons down? Because a theory cannot do that. You see, ships going to Australia, oh, here's a big ship, right? Tuk, 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 and smoke's going down that way. Steamship. The smoke's going down that way, butterflies are flying all around, but that is sucked into the moon, right? They say, oh, because it's more mass. Oh. Confused. Yes?
Why do we get a period, a full moon or new moon?
Yeah, well, because remember, all these bodies are influencing, they are making us. Without their electromagnetic waves, we wouldn't exist. Take the sun away, we're gone. As soon as you take the sun away, we cease to exist.
Of course.
Yeah.
So the planets are not there either?
Remember the magnifying glass projected? You see light there. Is it there? Well, it's there, but it's not really there. Like the rainbow. The sun is like a condensed rainbow. It's just all of a sudden in one pure white light body.
I didn't catch what you're talking about, the rainbow.
Okay, so the rainbow, you see this arch of the rainbow, right?
Right.
You see it, but it's a projection. It's not really there. You can't go and grab it and put it in your pocket.
Right, it's a prismatic effect of sunlight going through raindrops.
Exactly. Right?
So what's the problem?
Well, that's the way the sun is. That's why no one can triangulate the sun.
What do you mean?
Well, it hasn't been triangulated.
What do you mean triangulated?
Well, you triangulate to get the distance. Triangulation, like from, I'll get a measurement from here, and then I'll get a measurement from another place on the Earth, and then they work out the distance.
GPS coordinates.
Yeah, so I'm not following you.
It's easy.
Well, no one knows how far it is. Simple.
They
No
don't.
one knows because you can't. You can't triangulate it. You can't get a distance.
Why can you not from a satellite that's further out from the Earth? You can't triangulate because the Earth is not wide enough.
You don't need much width. You can do it with a kilometre or a mile. You don't need 100 miles to triangulate.
And what about the 93 million miles?
93 million miles? For a start, the light wouldn't arrive. They say particles of light come into your eye, and that's how you see the sun. Where are those particles? Who collects those particles?
They're photons.
It's a particle, right?
Sometimes.
And sometimes it's a
Light
wave.
is a particle or a wave.
Right. Well, they're confused because there are no particles. Thank you, Walter Russell, and all the legends like Schallberger and Tesla. There are no particles. Thomas Young, the discoverer of the electron, said till his dying death, it's not a particle because there are no particles.
Only a particle when you observe it.
It's all frequency.
Then the waveform map.
Okay, so
But it's
it's a
still
wave.
not a particle. It's a pulse. This is a pulse wave universe. Magnetism pulsates,
And how do you know that?
electricity vibrates.
When you drop a pebble into the ocean, what does it do? Does it ripple like a wave?
Radiation wave, a radial wave which is always growing. And then, because it encounters resistance in that medium of water, a transverse wave transpires, is the result. Radial waves are creating transverse waves through the ether, the air, the water, the earth, and all the 5 elements.
Are you saying the Earth is flat?
No, it's stationary and a horizontal plane. That's why we call it a planette. It's a plane. It's horizontal. It doesn't move. It has never, ever, ever, ever moved 1 millimeter in the history of its existence.
So nothing is moving through the universe.
No,
The one word.
no. There is movement, but within the cells called solar systems. Then there's millions of them. They're infinite. This is only one. If you read Bhagavad Gita, it says Brahma created millions of universes, or rather solar systems. But they're not all flying around and crashing into each other. They're all stable, hovering electromagnetically called anti-gravity. They're all hovering, these torus fields, in the universe.
They all have their own laws as well, right?
They all, yeah, pretty much, but still it's all electromagnetic. Yes, they do have their own laws. Here is the law of karma, mostly. Yes.
Okay, whether I believe what you're saying or not, what's the point?
The point is to know where we are. And,
Very important.
and how simple it is to know where we are. There's only one model. Man is the measure of the universe. When you understand that the solar system is the same as your manhood or your womanhood.
Yeah.
The heart is an anagram for Earth. There is a horizontal radiation, not vibration, which emanates from the heart as it pulsates. Boom, 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 boom. That's the pulse. That's the magnetic pulse that generates all the waves of all the atoms of your anatomy, atoms. So that is magnetic, it radiates. And from there, the plane of inertia extends horizontally forever. And that's how the Earth is. That's why the Nordic people called it an Yggdrasil tree, and they made a circle, and they put the Earth in like that, intersecting somewhere. Let's see if we can get one of those trees.
But with the eclipses, Rahu is dense enough to block out the sun.
By the way, there's a great documentary coming out where hundreds of pilots and engineers from NASA and from the commercial pilot industry coming out and saying we're sick of it, we've had enough, the Earth is stationary, we know we're not living on a moving target going at Ecuador. If you're landing on a north-south runway and that's going at 1,000 miles an hour, they say it's just totally ridiculous. We were trained on a flat Earth, on a stationary Earth, non-rotating, and
So you're saying
call
we're
it
not,
flat. NASA-
we're not rotating, we're not revolving around the sun?
does it feel like it?
Of course not.
Exactly, because it's not. Simple.
It's a little
You're saying
naive.
the sun revolves around us.
I think anyone who believes we're moving at 650 million miles an hour is naive, because that's what Copernicus says, the lying Jesuit. He says we're flying at 650 million miles an hour.
So
when
again-
you go and
again-
have a cup of coffee, hang on a minute, when you go and have a cup of coffee with your friend next for an hour, right, just have a cup of coffee and chat for an hour, we've been displaced through space at Mach 870,000, a sod of dirt, 870,000 Mach, we've moved from here to here 650 million, not a million miles, not 100 miles, 650 million miles. Bullshit. Pure bullshit.
But
That's pure bullshit.
Again, what's the point?
The point is
Whether
we
we're
need to
moving
know
or
where
not,
we
whether we
live.
perceive it or not, what's your
There's a
point?
grand.
Well, there's a
I'd
great
like to
point.
share. Can I
That's a
share?
big lie. They've told us a big lie, like the COVID pandemic lie. It's
Santos,
pure bullshit, right?
do you know why I think
It's
it's
a
so
lie.
important? Why I feel like it's so
And we're
important?
truthers.
Why?
It's because it places us in not following indecent leaders, because it puts us in command as the center, as spirits incarnate into the flesh, as the author of our story.
Well, I agree with that for every human being, but that still doesn't mean I'm not moving through space on a spherical planet.
Cosmologically, it does, because if we're following a sun, it's like following the Bible without asking a question. If we're following the sun, which spins around a black hole, that ain't very dignified. We may as well go and get our vaccines right now, sunshine, because I ain't the center.
That's a leap.
It is a massive leap, but let's bring it back. If we are following the story of the evolution of the dinosaurs, and they were cool, they were an invention as far as I'm concerned. I don't believe that they were part of our existence. Then it makes us some kind of meaningless happenstance and circumstance. But you aren't meaningless.
Of course I'm not.
You're infinitely deep and beautiful.
Absolutely.
And so this puts us in a dignified position of authority as the owner of our own script, of our own storytelling.
Okay,
narration.
now I get the point. Thank you.
Well, go thank yourself. You're worthy.
That's why this is interactive. Okay, so
I don't agree with you, but now I get your point.
Well, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfectly okay.
In order to
I believe we're on a planet that's rotating and revolving around the sun.
In order to be a master of the realm which we strive for, we want to know what this realm exactly is. And we know that NASA is, it has the largest film studio in the world. So that's one huge red flag. Of all places, NASA.
yeah, do not trust NASA one bit. You know the moon landing was it's cartoons, right?
It's a lie. They want to make
You
you
just
feel
said-
Kubrick filmed that.
The bottom line is whether you believe the sun's going to shine in the morning or not, it doesn't require your little mind to believe it. Whether you believe the moon's going to do what the moon's going to do, it doesn't matter what you care it's going to do. Nature does what nature does.
Yeah, right.
Oh
yeah,
Earth
that's
is flat. When I was looking for tickets to India, I could have flown over like through New York, around the world that way, or I could have flown over the Pacific.
You're always going east to west. You never go over the North and South Pole because they're not like on the globe. The North Pole's in the center, and Antarctica. Thank you, Captain Cook. He sailed around Antarctica. It took him 67,000 miles to get from point A and back to the point again. That's because it's a ring around the disk Earth.
I know, but if the Earth was flat and I wanted to get from America
Yeah.
to India,
You go east. That's where it is. You fly east.
but you could also fly west and also
Yeah, of course.
get there.
Of course. You can go
But
this
if the
way.
Earth is flat, I'd fall off the edge of the Earth.
There's
and
no
then-
edge. There's no edge. It's contained in a torus field. That is a dome above our heads.
So what's underneath?
Firmament. Well, the firmament, the bottom of the firmament.
Can you like make a picture of what a flat Earth looks like? 'Cause
Well,
to
you
me,
just
like,
saw
the
it.
ground is flat, right? So
Okay.
it's flat.
Torus field.
And if I'm trying to get from point A to point B, there's only one option.
I personally don't perceive a spinning a disc floating off in space. I don't believe in the outer space so much myself. I believe this is the only.
There it is. That's the only form that exists. That's how we know we're living on that.
What does Ken
Simple.
Wheeler say with the torus field electromagnetically?
Yeah.
Only life can, and he's not even talking about this Earth construct, only life can form on that plane of inertia.
Yeah. I said that before.
It's a time-space continuum, a void that we are within. The only place where time exists is within inside this void.
If you were going to incarnate onto an earthly plane and you had two options, I'm going to put you on a ball that's flying at 650 million miles an hour, or I'm going to put you on a stable, stationary place where you can live. Which would you pick? It's pretty obvious, and it is. How do I know? Well, we've got all the science. We've got all the science proving that the Earth is stationary. We've got James Bradley in 1729, Astronomer Royal, with his telescope experiment, proved that the Earth is stationary. That's the Astronomer Royal. That's not some hippie bum. Then 100 years later, George Airy in 1871 with a similar telescope, the Astronomer Royal for 49 years. That means the world's leading astronomer proved that the Earth is stationary. Sagnac in 1913, before Einstein came out with his general theory of bullshit relativity, like the bullshit Jesuit Big Bang, he proved that the Earth was stationary with his interferometer experiment. This is all in our history books. We don't get taught this in school because NASA's taken over. They've removed those books, right? Encyclopedia Britannica 58 says they went to Antarctica, it was a ring, and they found that the firmament there was only 13,000 feet high. We couldn't get through it. They called it Operation Fishbowl. Then they give you a model of the Earth that's flat, and they give you the little, the little snowballs, right? The little snow Earth things, and you shake it, and that's what they're sticking in your face, and that's they're showing you what the Earth is really like. Then Michelson-Morley and Michelson-Gale in 1915 and 1929 respectively, with an interferometer proved that the Earth was stationary. Pierluigi Igina, the Italian genius, he was saying, up until he died in 2004, you can see videos of Pierluigi Igina. He worked with Marconi. He said, Marconi and I, we have an experiment we can show you in 5 minutes that the Earth is stationary. We have the science. The only thing that globies have got is Einstein on his deathbed, who said, I have come to perceive that no optical experiment can prove the movement of the Earth. Because you can't. Not one experiment exists, either optical or physical or whatever kind of experiment, that the Earth is moving. And yet we have tens and tens and tens and tens of astronomer royals and geniuses that say the Earth is stationary. And now, watch out, because soon there's going to be a documentary that will seal it. Pilots are going to come out and say, we're done with this globe bullshit. The Earth's not moving. Okay? Watch out for that one. It's coming out in a few months.
Do you know the name?
It's called, no, I don't know. I don't know the name, but it'll be out soon. Keep in touch with me, and I can email it to you just in case. Please. Yes.
Is there a second sun here or one coming?
Second sun, it's like a black sun. It's not two luminous suns. Did you see the Chinese put a sun up?
Yeah.
And it looks just like the sun, right? It's a false sun, because what they're doing is they're just using electromagnetism. It's a projection as well.
My friend has seen two suns.
Huh?
My friend has seen two suns.
Yeah, but that's again. There's tricks going on in the electromagnetic sky. Remember, these are luminous bodies, and they're electromagnetic. And what we see is not really what's there. It's there. The sun is there. There's no doubt about it. But it's not physically there. It's a wormhole, and it opens up. It's projected from the North Pole, as Bhagavad Gita says. It's projected onto the dome, and then we see it as a luminous body agitating or field perturbating the ether and creating, agitating all the noble gases like neon and argon in the air, and hence giving us incoherent light. See, white light is incoherent. It lights up the whole room. A laser light, which is coherent, only gives you a straight line, right? Because all the atoms are coherent. But white light is incoherent. So the sun is agitating all the incoherent atoms through the noble gases and giving us a dense, fixed light when it goes through our atmosphere. Yep.
So bringing it back to the centre and our astrology, because this is what our guideline and our template is, and this is how we can know truth. And this is what, as you say, proves this to be the case. So if you could please draw the plane of inertia with the farthest parameters being Capricorn and the most central space being Cancer, and explain how over the seasons the sun transits and describes our experience here with all of the other planets following the sun, being dragged along by the sun.
This is an atom. That's a proton, that's an electron. That's the neutron, the plane of inertia. Every atom is like this. If you watch Ken Wheeler's channel, Theoria Apophasis, you will see him showing you the electromagnetic field. He's got a viewing film, he's got a magnet here, and he's got little RGB lights all around the viewing film. And what you see is the field. You see a torus field going around the magnet. And he shows you the red shift and the blue shift. And so what happens is, this is a torus field, guys.
It's just like a bar magnet, that.
Yes, any magnet. The only magnet that changes this shape is a pyramid. But every other magnet, whether it's a ring magnet, square, rectangle, flat, round, always produces this. You can see a plane of inertia in the field. This goes white. This light goes white. If I had my projector, I'd pull up a video of Ken Wheeler. He's got hundreds, and you can see how the magnetic field really is. And this will be 1.618. This will be 1. Blue is 1. This red is 1.618 according to the phi ratio, the golden section. So this would be bigger than this. Okay, but because red is a longer wave, it's a long wave, and blue is a very, very short wave.
Which psychologically very deeply, because if we aren't doing our shadow work, we're going to go the long way around. We're missing our opportunities to work and process our unrecognized parts and shadows. That's the red wave. However, when we're facing it, when we're actually paying attention to ourselves, that's the direct route to the source, to your center, to your heart.
Yeah, sure, I agree. But Bhagavad Gita says there are 7 more planes under here. The Hebrews say there are 3. This is called Sheol in Hebrew. The Greeks call it Hades. The Latins call it infernal, under the earth. We all know that there are dark entities under the earth. They come out in portals all around the place. Bermuda Triangle, all these weird places.
We've been talking about
where
this
they've
week
seen.
with the Wetico, weren't we? Because we all have this whisper in our ears sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Well, all the dark forces come from here, all the angelic forces come from here. In fact, the moon that goes around, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter and Saturn, and this is the dome where all the fixed stars are. This is turning around like a chandelier, according to Bhagavad Gita, over the Bhumandala Earth every day, every 24 hours. So the sun is in the middle. There's Venus, there's Mercury, there's Moon, and these are all the 7 portals, the 7 gates, stairway to heaven. And we go through these portals, especially in particular the Sun, and we go out of here, out of corporality.
The sun ruling the solar plexus.
Yeah, no.
It's the center to the solar plexus.
No, the Sun is here in the heart. Venus is the ruler of the solar plexus.
Where is Vrindavan there?
Vrindavan is up here, man. It's outside of here. This is called the firmament in the Bible. God made the firmament on the 2nd day. In the Ptolemaic model, it talks about the firmament. Then the crystalline sea, number 9, that's 8, 9, and then the primum mobile is number 10. And they're all magnetic fields. This is what they would call ionosphere, stratosphere, thermosphere, because they're trying to hide the fact that it's electromagnetically made like this. But this is all the spheres and the Kuiper belt and the Van Allen belt and the asteroid belt. That's all this.
So if you went all the way to the right or the left, you should hit the firmament.
Well, Captain Cook, he sailed around here with 67,000 miles. He logged there are 67,000 miles to circumnavigate Antarctica 200 years ago. That's only 200 years ago.
So the middle is the North Pole.
That's the North Pole here. It's called Mount Meru. It's
Where's
magnetic.
the South Pole?
That's why all compasses point to this. All circumnavigations of the Earth are east to west or west to earth, west to east. All of them. Every single circumnavigation of the Earth. All of them.
And the South Pole is?
You'll bump into the firmament here. It's only 13,000 miles high. Feet high, according to Encyclopedia Americana. The last time they mentioned it was in 1958. I've got it here. I can show you it here, but the whole Google document.
Last time they mentioned what, sorry? Last time they mentioned what, sorry? In 1958, what did they mention?
The firmament is only 13,000 feet high here.
It was in the 1956 encyclopedia that took it out.
Oh. Really?
Yes, because this is a magnetic mountain. All compasses point north because they're always pointing to the center. So you can be in North America, you can go to China and the compass will always point right. Then you go over to Italy and the compass will always be pointing to the North Pole.
What about compasses in the southern hemisphere?
They still all go to the North Pole.
Oh, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
they all point to the North Pole.
What about the way that the toilets flush if you're in the northern?
That's
or southern?
electromagnetic currents.
Santos.
Hang on, this is important. Coriolis effect. This is what stomps a lot of people. They think, well, in the southern hemisphere we've got hurricanes, and in the north we have tornadoes and hurricanes, don't you? In America, what do they have? Hurricanes and tornadoes.
Yeah.
All right, we have cyclones in Australia. Cyclone Tracy in 1972 devastated Darwin. You don't have cyclones because they say they go this way and hurricanes go that way. It's electromagnetics. Because what's happening is the sun is creating a vortex. It's electromagnetic. And what happens when something ripples through the water, what happens is you've got this going on. A boat, for instance, you've got waves going that way, whirlpools, and waves going the other way. Simple.
They said it in The Simpsons, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah. Bart went to Australia and he goes, woo! The toilet's going that way. And back home it goes that way. Well, it's not because you're on a globe. It's because the inner... All right, let's do this. So, what happens is, according to Bhagavad Gita, at the Tropic of Cancer, Capricorn, the sun is closest to the Earth. The sun now is closer to the Earth than in June. In 4 or 5 months, when it gets to the 21st of June, they say, in the Jesuit model, they say that the sun will be 5,000 miles further away from the Earth than when it's in Capricorn. And January the 4th is perihelion day, the closest the Earth is to the sun. And so it's 5,000 miles of difference. Okay, so we can explain that. This is the Tropic of Capricorn, that's the equator, this is Cancer. The sun is going, like in Bhagavad Gita it says, it goes up and down this ramp. Here's the 21st, the solstice, Capricorn, we're here now, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, the equinox. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, the solstice. Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, the equinox, balancing what is equal. Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. Up and down, 6 months up, 6 months down. And this is creating a vortex here at the equator. This is where the power is.
So
So what happens? Yes, ask away, it's interactive.
So yeah, for Capricorn on the 21st of December,
Yes,
what's happening? And on the 21st of July, so it's the sun, right? At the beginning, when the sun is about to be born again,
yes.
Capricorn.
25th of December, the birthday of the sun.
and then it dies in Cancer. And can you tell the philosophical story of the bread and the wine that comes from the crown of thorns of the sun dying? And explain all that.
Yeah, but it's a bit off a
Before
tangent.
you go there,
Yeah.
what you were just showing,
Yes.
are you saying this is the precession of the equinoxes?
No, that's
this
not the
explains the
precession.
precession of the equinoxes?
Yes, easily. Okay, let's do that first, and then I'll show you.
I got another
There's the
question.
Earth from above. There's the North Pole. I'm going to get to that. First, I'm going to draw this down. There's the Arctic Circle. There's the Tropic of Cancer. There's the equator. There's the Tropic of Capricorn, and this is Antarctica. That's the ring. That's why you can't fall off the flat Earth.
And where are we looking from at the moment?
From top. Okay. I'll
How do we get there?
Well, we're going to go to this in a minute. I want to answer your question about precession.
Okay.
This is very important. Why are the stars behind the ecliptic shifted 23.5 degrees? Why have they shifted? Shouldn't Aries be there on March the 21st, rising at 6 a.m. every morning? How come Pisces has been there for 2,000 years and now the tip of Aquarius is showing up?
Because of the precession of the equinoxes.
Right, precession of the equinoxes. Why do the stars go against and slip back from the ecliptic, which is tropical astrology, which is fixed, never changes, and is the system we use? See, in India, they go with the precession of the equinoxes. They say, oh, but the sun is no longer in Aries, it's in Pisces. So they say to me, born on March 24th, you're Piscean. And I say, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. I'm 24th of March, that's Aries. No, it's Pisces, it's shifted. No, I'm Aries. You can see I'm Aries. Look at my head. It's Aries. You know, when you know how to, I've got a whole presentation on how to pick people's astrological types. It only works with tropical. Because the tropical system is this system that I did before, which never moves. The Tropic of Cancer and the 21st of June will always usher in the summer. The 21st of September, the fall. The 21st of December will also always usher in the winter. And my sign, Aries, 21st of March at the equinox, will always usher in the spring. This never moves. The season's always on time. They never move. So the tropical system is pinned to that. It's not pinned to the precession of the equinoxes. But here's the question. The question was, how does that happen? How can you explain it? Well, it's easy. Every torus field has the Lemur frequency or electromagnetic retardation. So, a torus field is a reciprocating precessional hyperboloid torus. Thank you, Ken Wheeler. We know that the lines of energy are doing this, reciprocating. We know that. They're coming out redshift, going in blue shift. Coming out redshift, centrifugal divergent, going back in fission, fusion, going back in centripetal convergent. Centrifugal divergent, centripetal convergent. So whatever goes out must go back into that hole of energy. So, but what's happening is, if every atom only reciprocated, only did this, how could it attract another atom? It has to precess. It has to precess at a certain rate. And every atom has a certain rate of precession to it. And it attracts other atoms that have the same rate. If it goes too fast, it'll just kick others around, because it'll go too fast, and the slower ones, it just won't attract. That's how atoms attract each other. It's called Adam and Eve bonding, ionic bonding. Yes?
The same within our dance when we're courting one another, isn't it? If we're putting our attention on people, they often flee. They are more attracted when we've got our attention on ourselves. The right ascension of meridian is this, to fold
Yep.
in on self. The Ram, Aries, I am.
Yeah.
That I am.
Yep.
That's what creates magnetism, right?
Yeah,
Dead
exactly.
attractive.
So the magnetic field is always precessing. Now this is what Ken Wheeler says. He says, if you want to have free energy, if you want to have anti-gravity machines, all you have to do is know how to manipulate the rate of precession. It's called electromagnetic precession or electromagnetic retardation, the Lemur frequency. There's a special frequency set in every field, torsion field of electromagnetic energy. And so the energy is doing this, of course, it's reciprocating, but it has to precess. And so what's happening is the stars in the dome, as they go around, they are going slower than faster than the sun. The chandelier of the fixed stars go around every 24 hours and it's fixed. The sun has slowed down. That's why the sun used to, up until 2,750 years ago, in every culture there were only 360 days for the year. Then all of a sudden they added 5¼ days and called them holy days. Why? Because someone slowed the sun down 2,750 years ago. The Roman calendar was adjusted, the Mayans adjusted theirs, the Egyptians, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Indians, all of them. Yes?
2 questions. So you're saying all the stars are the same distance from the...
Yeah, they're all fixed into the firmament. As the Greeks said, and the Babylonians,
Uh-huh.
they are like nailed onto the firmament.
Okay.
But Pierluigi Gina says the stars are holes
Okay. And then
in the firmament.
all these hundred thousands of satellites that they're launching.
Yes.
Where are these satellites
Okay.
going?
That blue sky you see, that's water, hydrogen. The sun is hydrogen, Saturn is hydrogen and helium, Jupiter is made up of entirely hydrogen and helium. Okay? And so is the sun. It's 90% hydrogen and helium, probably 98. But so is the dome, the firmament. They've shot rockets into the firmament. It's only about 70, 80 miles high. And you see them skimming off it. Skim, 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 skim. You can see videos of this. They've shot rockets up. They continually try and bust through the firmament. But it's just water. It's a very, very, very firm electromagnetic hydrogen torsion field. And it is turning over the Earth. And at the same time, it is precessing against the ecliptic.
It's only 70, 80 miles high.
It's only about 70, 80 miles high.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
what's on the other side of it?
Water's above, water, more hydrogen. That's what the Greeks said, didn't they? Democratism. all
So
that.
we're like a
Everything's made
big
of water.
bubble in
It's a bubble. Yes,
water.
it's an atmosphere, right? We're in a sphere. We're inside a sphere, not on the sphere. So it's
Ah.
surrounding us lovingly, protecting us.
Wow.
We'll never have to worry about getting blown up with. Never. It's not going to happen. It'll always be firm and steady.
We don't have to worry about
Yes.
that.
So any probes that have been sent to the moon or Mars or any of these planets are all bullshit.
No, no. They're actually going there, but they're not getting there. They never are.
Yeah, but if you're saying the firmament is only how far?
80, 90, 100 miles.
80, 90, 100 miles.
Depends, because it comes down. You see,
And if one of these rovers is being sent to Mars, where is it going?
most probably Greenland, because they've been busted. There's lots of people that have busted them. You'll see on the map.
Greenland is much
Greenland
bigger
is
than we
a very barren place. It looks like Mars,
So
and in
much
fact,
bigger than we think.
there was one
Uh-huh.
guy. He made a video.
Okay.
he got onto Google Earth, and he goes, "Oh, I want to see what's in Greenland." So he goes up to Greenland, and he goes down, and he actually sees the Mars expedition people there on Greenland. He's going, "Look at this! Look at these trucks and robots and things. They're in Greenland."
Trump wanted to buy Greenland.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah,
That's probably why.
Yeah, they're
you want to
making
go to
all
Mars.
they're making all of this Mars expedition on Greenland. Or I suspect they're going to the under the Earth. because they do go straight to the North Pole or Antarctica. They bring those people there, and then they just disappear through a portal. Yes.
What about time delay? Right?
Yeah.
If there are signals coming back from Mars, for example, they take a few minutes to get to Earth.
Yes.
How is that explained?
Well, you've got to understand their technology is working through transverse waves, and a transverse wave is way infinitely slower than a longitudinal wave. That's, you know, have you heard of quantum entanglement?
Yes.
Right. So they say if we get an electron over here and we start turning it the other way instead of that way, there will be an atom over there which is entangled with it, and it will instantly, millions of miles away, start turning the other way when we turn this one away. How do they know that? And why do they say it's called instant reaction at a distance? Because everything is connected. Everything is connected in the magnetic world because it's all longitudinal. There's no decay. So there is no, as Kevin Miller says and Walter Russell, there is no speed of light. There's no speed of sound. Everything is connected. But in this medium of air and oxygen and nitrogen, 78% nitrogen, 20% oxygen, 1% argon, and then carbon dioxide and some other stuff in the air, that transverse wave slows down. And so does time. It warps. It's not constant.
What about shooting stars?
Shooting stars are discharges of electricity along the volts. That's why they always go down. They
Right.
never go up.
And so, like every
Right.
August when there's a big meteor shower,
Yes.
is it just like
They're always discharging along the firmament. Whereas lightning is coming into the atmosphere. They're two different kinds of discharges. Lightning hits the nitrogen or gets charged by the nitrogen and then just releases into the earth. It has to earth. Whereas those shooting stars and everything, they travel along the water of the dome and then they hit the ground over in Antarctica or whatever. Yes.
So the firmament is 70 or 80 miles high.
Depends. It's about 100 here, and then it's exactly 13,000
And
feet.
Then how wide is it from one
It would
end
be.
of this to the other?
Remember, the equator here is 25,000 miles. This, according to Captain Cook, 67,000 miles. So we're looking at about 30, 40,000 miles from the
Okay.
North Pole to Antarctica.
Okay.
Thereabouts. I mean, well, actually less, isn't it? Because look, that's 25,000. We all know that the equator's 25,000 miles, right? In whichever model you use, it'll be 25,000 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is.
Okay.
They're honest. They will tell you the truth, but with a wrong model. For instance, they tell you that the atom is a proton, an electron, and a neutron. That's correct. It consists of three things: plane of inertia, redshift, blue shift. But they don't tell you that. We needed Walter Russell, Kent Wheeler to come along, and John Mawelski and Eric Dollard.
This is more of a question.
Yes.
So like when they did like the splitting of the atom,
Yep.
is that anything to do with the fact that we've been concentrating on just one side, like a patriarchal system, which has been concentrating on the redshift rather than being aware of our internal, of our internal.
When they split the atom and they cause these bombs to happen, they are just releasing the smallest portion of energy that atom has. If they were to use what Schauberger said is the cold energy or the implosion cycle, the blue shift part, centripetal convergent, that's where all the power is. This redshift stuff, these are all the explosions that they're doing. This is the electrical grid. This is why your car and your alternator and all those electrical circuits in your car always get hot. This computer gets hot, especially Apple's. Why do they get hot? Why are they using hot energy? Because they're only fixed on this. Schauberger said this is where it's at. This is 1 billion times more powerful than that. You see, the blue shift. He was using that, and that's cold. This is cold. We don't need to heat things up and wear them out. We can have cold machinery running on the implosion instead of the explosion. Schauberger said that. He said we've got to stop exploding a bit. we've got to start imploding. It's like with your orgasm. You see, with this science we teach that white tantra must be practiced if you want to live forever. You can live forever if you implode your orgasms. You don't need to ejaculate. All of that fluid is a waste of life force. There's potassium and magnesium. There's life force going in. You can impregnate a woman and bring another life into this world through those seminal fluids. That's why young men were sent to a seminary. Seminary? Why are we sending little boys to a seminary? What do they need to know about semen to become a priest? University churns out doctors, seminaries churn out priests. What's with the semen then? Well, they used to be told to implode their orgasm. Then what happens is all those cerebrospinal fluids go back up to the cerebrum and you get a genius. You can live forever. The secret of everlasting life is in you. Do not waste your fluids. Do not waste blood. Do not waste any of your sexual fluids. In sexual practices, keep your fluids. Keep it as dry as possible. Don't release them because you're releasing too much magnetic force and you start getting wrinkly and die. You see these men and women, prostitutes for instance, you see the like this when they're 45. They don't live to 80 years. A prostitute doesn't live to 80 years of age. Nor does a pimp. Because they're one and the same. They're haggard by the time they're 40 and they have a heart attack and they're all wrinkly and ugly and grey because they've depleted their life force. So white tantra has been taught. You can look it up.
One of the things as well, like if you are cycling,
Yeah.
this is your immunity cycle.
Yeah.
The man in the moon.
Yeah.
The man in its own immunity.
Yeah. That's right.
It's the golden loop of Saturn, the golden
Yeah.
ring.
So implosion instead of explosion. What happens when you get angry, a burst of anger? I know what happens to me. I get sick for about 2 days. Being Aryan and with a Leo rising and Calabrian, my Calabrian father used to have a fit of anger. I was scared of him, you know. You just explode. And I have that same temperament, the Southern Italian temperament. It's awful. And I get angry so quickly. And you know what? Yeah, he was a Virgo. And you know that hurts me. I get bitter. Everything, all my digestive system goes crazy. I can't sleep.
Your father's calibrated.
That's it. Yeah.
My mother's calibrated.
That's an explosion.
I understand.
Anger is an explosion.
So an outburst is not really necessarily.
Love
what
is
we
an
wanna practice.
implosion.
Yeah.
You're taking in all good energy. You're bringing it in and harvesting it and giving it to yourself. The moment you get angry, you go grey and depleted. You wreck your organs, they get stressed, everything gets stressed, your blood goes sour and acidic, no more alkalinity. That's an explosion. Remember, explosion bad, implosion good.
So,
Yes?
What about in the process of trying to procreate?
Yeah, you don't have to discharge any ejaculation or semen.
Okay.
I know people who have done it the proper way when the moon is in Cancer, at the honeymoon, that's the honeymoon, right? Why do they newlyweds have a honeymoon? Because that honey, the milk and honey, that is a technique. Remember, wasn't it all these ascended masters were conceived immaculately? You know, their mothers were still virgins. How can that be? Well, it's not literal. It's not literally true because Jesus is not literal. He didn't come in history and he won't come again. But it's telling you a secret. The biggest secret in the Bible is the sexual story of how we can use sexuality, a gift from the gods, to ascend again.
Can we also use when the moon is transiting through the woman's sign?
There's a whole bunch of ways that you can do it. Yes, there's a whole different things. The moon has to be in feminine signs, Cancer, Virgo. The best signs would be the waxing ones, Pisces, Taurus and Cancer. Capricorn as well, but Virgo and Scorpio, not so well for the moon. But feminine signs, and it's got to be waxing as well for both the man and the woman, which is very, very, some marriages they can't do it. If they're born of the same sign, it's impossible. So,
You mean a waxing composite?
yeah, both. The moon always has to be waxing, can't be waning. But I forget, you can read Samael Aunweor's book, The Perfect Matrimony, and he explains how to impregnate your partner without ejaculating. You never have to ejaculate ever again, man or woman. And men can have 6 hours orgasm if they want. Yeah. And what happens when they start feeling the orgasm? Men get excited and they want to rush it and pat themselves on the back and ejaculate and then fall asleep and disappoint the woman because of 10-minute performance, which they thought was quite good, right? The woman needs about 6 hours just to get started, right? Okay, or whatever. That's an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. So the guy wants to get his reward. I want my, oh, I've got to have it, you know. Well, if only he knew that if he could just ignore that, please his partner, right, and compress that coil, that spring that starts at the sacrum, and it starts to unwind, the Kunda buffer and the Kundalini start climbing up, and he gets excited, and he discharges everything down below. It never comes up to the head heaven to activate the fornix, the medulla oblongata, the third ventricle, and all of these glorious, holy, the pineal gland, the pituitary. They're waiting for some action to get you to ascend, to go to heaven, so you can be one consciousness with your partner. How many men, after sex, they fight with their partners and women because they're disappointed? He had his ejaculation, but he really didn't, and she didn't get anything out of it. And all right, well, this is, gets drunk all the time and just ejaculates and falls asleep. It's not going to work. And the man doesn't really get satisfied either. You can't get satisfied with an ejaculation. You cannot. The only men that get satisfied are the ones who do not explode. Because what they do is they realize that they can control it. And so what they do is they through breathing and squeezing the muscles of the perineum, they can actually bring that spring back and say, I'm going to leave the orgasm here and just enjoy it. And that's okay, because my girl, she's loving it, you know, because we're 2 hours in and I haven't fell asleep, and you get more energy. It re-energizes you. Because of the ejaculation, they get to miss out on a whole new world of doing things. They could hold that spring and then lift it up a little bit to come to the heart chakra. Then once they've controlled the heart chakra, then they can release it to the throat. Then they can release it to the pineal gland, then the crown chakra, and then they can hold it there. And just from the start of their sexuality, their sex, they can have, a man can have women have what's called multiple orgasms, right? Well, men can have, and women can have an eternal orgasm. Why do you think you see the saints going like this with a halo around them? It's because they've brought that sexual energy up without ejaculating. They've contained it. They are containers of the Holy Spirit, and what's happening is they're glowing. You look at your man when he's before ejaculation, take a photo, and then take a photo when he's after it, 3 minutes after. Glowing, grey, death warmed up. And he's scratching his head, and he's got guilt, he's got shame, he's got irritability, he's irascible, can't think right, just get out of my face, sort of. And haven't you noticed that? And they get depressed, suicidal, because of wrong sexuality. The greatest thing that the gods gave us, and the most enjoyable, more than food, more than anything else. Success, career, fame, glory, money, sex. We all know that. We don't need to hide that. So, but what a shame that all these boys didn't get taught in the seminaries correctly. And then the Jesuits took them over, the same people who were behind the globe and the global agenda. Who are our enemies? What do we call our enemies? The globalists? Globalists. They are liars. They put that false idol on the kindergarten desk to indoctrinate little children, and I fell for it. We all fell for it. But it's time now for the truth.
So they have these many layers of this, obviously, the Earth resets and limiting of information. We've been talking about how the last time that Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto were in Capricorn was 735 years before 2020.
Yeah.
And that was just another massive paradigm reset of terminologies and cosmological effects. That's when Copernicus was about, right?
Yes.
And so, porn, another propaganda to waste and to not be putting ourselves in a position of dignity. These are all coming from the same people, right? But it's not about being victim. It's about recognise that we are empowered. We are able to be victorious when we know this.
The men in black have run the show for 480 years now, proper, in a very, very thorough way. They use the Freemasons as their foot soldiers. All these secret societies, boys' club, they don't have women there because women have got intuition. They don't buy the bullshit, except for the wives of the Freemasons and the Jesuits who are as nasty as they are anyway. But the reason why they only recruit men is for that reason. Okay, Fordham, Georgetown, they're all mostly boys. You know, Skull and Bones, they run the show. The elite families who control the purses, the banks, they operate through the military arm of the Vatican called the Jesuits, and all they are is they control economically, financially, politically, and socially the world. And their day is up because people now have woken up. So many people have been injured by the vaccine. So many people have seen through, you know, Fauci, he's a Jesuit, Gates is a Jesuit, Clinton's a Jesuits, Epstein, they're all Jesuits. They all went to Fordham, Georgetown, they're all Jesuits. They have to be.
So can I
That's
ask
the big club,
what-
and you
what-
ain't in it.
One more thing, which is not very popular, but they're touching it for just a moment.
Globalists.
Yeah, those people. And so you did a presentation with Sasha Stone a couple of days ago, right?
Yep.
And he talks a lot about this mention it, the human trafficking, the sex
Yes,
trafficking.
they run it.
And why do they run something that's going after our sexual energy, which comes obviously from the lady fallopian tubes? Us
They
men
want
gonads,
adrenochrome.
and-
That's why they torture young children, because they have soft particle photon energy. They sometimes kill mature people as well and take their adrenochrome, but it's not the same. The little children, their adrenochrome stimulates, gives them power, and it's like ecstasy or MDMA mega fold, and then they have their sexual orgies because they are actually soulless. And what happens is when they ingest blood, then they know what it feels like to have a soul, and then they have perverted sex because they just want to have sex. They want to have the most sensation possible. The only way to do that is by ingesting that blood.
And so what they suggest is actually that this recent financial world reset
Yep.
is a massive kind of end of days for this kind of trafficking, for us really taking our responsibility back.
Yeah, they've done it hundreds of times, Philip. Resets have been going on. World War I was a reset. World War II was a reset. 1929 was a reset. 1871, the new constitution, the corporate constitution of the US is a reset.
The moon landing.
Yeah, it's all based on bankruptcy and resets.
So when it comes back to empowerment, rather than disarray and uncomfortability, yeah, there's some uncomfortable things that have been going on in the world. But why? Because each of us are so powerful. We've got a pineal gland, we have ovaries, we've got testicles, which have got Christ consciousness written all out of them, infinite amounts of them.
Yeah.
And that's really our root. This is our truth.
Yes.
This is how we came to creation.
Thank you. Very true. Yes.
Who else be doing crimes against humanity? Who would be in charge of that?
Say again.
Crimes against humanity. Where would that come from? Which group?
Crimes against humanity? Demonic forces. Demonic forces. There are demons and demigods. We can choose to be either one.
But to actually initiate the process.
The witch?
She's asking who's going to initiate the process to pretty much slay the people who are doing the crimes against humanity.
When Christ returns, remember, he's not going to literally return. Christ returning means this, what's going on now. This is Christ returning. You're starting to go, yeah, I'm getting it. Research. It's coming back, right? You're remembering. Remember? That's the Christ returning. It can only be in you.
So this just spoken from another
We're
angle.
going to do it. We're the demon slayers. We are the demon slayers.
But for what
We are the heroes.
What they've done, what is the consequence, or where is their destiny?
They will go to a condition called hell. They're already in that
So
condition.
mental.
It's mental, yeah. The universe is all mental. It's a mental construct and mathematical.
Okay, so it naturally.
But they will go to a
Push it
reduced
down.
frequency of that. It's not a place. Hell is not a place.
Right.
It's a condition. And they will be trapped there forever.
So naturally, okay.
Yeah, and we will forever be unleashed and released of this
if you want to take a really spiritual perspective on it, you can say thank you for these guys, for this aristocracy, for holding us back, so we've awoken from that.
For but the grace of
What a
God
gift
go
for
they.
us. Because they've provided us with the gift karmically for us to awaken.
Go I. Right?
That's forgiveness,
They-
that's acceptance, that's compassion, that's love.
Yeah, they've taken on the worst gig. We get the best one. So we need to thank them. Thank you for your evil. Because they're going to go to hell, which balances out us going to heaven.
If we can give, I've said,
Which
if we
is a
can give Bill
condition.
Gates a bit of counselling, we give these people a bit of medicine, we give them a bit of the soft love that maybe they've missed, and maybe they can start to heal themselves as well.
It's already there and they haven't taken it. Therefore, they have to be judged and sentenced. And guillotined, electric chaired, and what's the other one they use? Noose. But that's going to take place. We won't see it, but it's going to take place. It has to.
So I've got 2 questions.
Yeah.
But then I'll show. So the first thing is that obviously it's not just we've been lowering our frequency by wasting our seeds, but also with the diet.
Yes.
Bad, terrible diets.
Yes.
Consuming things that make us heavy and metals and carrying trauma.
Essentially, we have to avoid everything that is acidic. Go to Dr. Sebi. Do the Dr. Sebi diet. I'm doing it. Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi. They murdered him in 2015. 16. They murdered him in Honduras because, well, first of all, in 1980, he won a case in the Supreme Court. When he came to the US, he was saying, I can cure AIDS, cancer, whatever you got, I'll cure it. And he did. Hundreds of people all over the place. He helped Michael Jackson, he helped all these Hollywood people. Even Barack Obama buys his, or used to buy his medicines, his herbs. So he teaches that we need to have only electrical alkaline food because everything else is hybrid. These hybrid watermelons with no seeds, seedless grapes, all this corn here in Mexico, if it's not purple and it's yellow, it's GMO. This is acidic. That will kill you. So when he went to court, they said, you've got to come to court. He went to the Supreme Court and they said, you have to bring, you've claimed there are 9 diseases that you've cured. You have to bring 9 people with their records and everything. He brought 77 people with him that day and he walked out of there.
It's the only recorded case ever won against the pharma, yes.
They had to
Yeah,
have separate,
Dr. Sebi.
They had to have a separate form from 2 different doctors of being in disease and then being cured from a disease.
That's right. They had to prove clinically that they were cured by Dr. Sebi.
And what the government did is actually sent somebody who had a disease in there to disprove him, to make, because they didn't think he was going to do it. And then that guy, while he was up on the stand speaking, he couldn't say that he didn't cure him because he did.
Yeah, that's right.
All about that.
Yeah, they lost big time, big time. It was so embarrassing for Big Pharma. Yes.
Thank you. I need to go. But
Thank you,
you've
brother.
given a lot of food for thought, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you
so
kindly.
much.
Do you know, Billy, I really appreciate you as well. The way that you asked, even though that this is like rocking maybe your foundation.
Well, yeah, I'm
you
a
asked very
physicist.
intelligent questions.
I studied astrophysics. I have a degree in physics,
Well, I
This
admired
is
the fact
very
that-
ingrained.
I admired the fact that you stuck around
Yeah.
to challenge yourself.
And I'm looking forward to this documentary.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my email is music@santos.net.au. But if you put Santos Bonacci in Google, there's about 300,000 pages. You just say, put in Santos Bonacci official email.
I'll find you.
You've got it. Send me an email, and I'll give you anything you want. You answer, what about this? I'll give you whatever research material, and I'll keep my eye out. And when this documentary comes out, I've got a whole bunch of other good documentaries. When you see the good documentaries well made, in time, drinking a cup of tea, relaxed, not with people around you, where you can think and not you've got
Great.
right. Then it's better. I can
Super.
send you material, so
Okay.
you can email me anytime.
And thanks to all of the organizers, as this is the last session, are you going to be sending contact information for everybody?
We're going to be sending a follow-up email with contact information for all the presenters and
all the
follow-up.
participants?
Yeah, like it would be great
Should
to
we
be
have
able to
like
get,
somewhat
to
of
get
a
that.
closing circle for the people who need to leave, like, because I think that we're supposed
Well,
to
they-
end at 8
I'm finished.
or-
Well, thank you so
okay.
much, Santos.
Yeah.
You've got your brilliant friends here.
Thanks, brother. I'll give you an email to send it to my my technician guy. Same with you, sister.
If
Is that
anybody
okay?
wants to stick
Thank
around,
you so
we're gonna have
kindly.
I've got your